Hello, I'm sitting here with Pat Howard, who is VP of Global Business Services at IBM. Hello, Pat, and thank you for taking the time to speak with us.
Good to be here, Lev. Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about then how you decided to take it forward and how that fits into the way you run application development and maintenance at IBM?
Well, it was at that period of time where our journey around a program called GenO actually got started. GenO is it's an acronym which stands for Generation Open. In part, that name came from the view of the demographics of the professionals, the software developers worldwide. It's the new millennial generation who are involved in the delivery of function for the IBM companies. So just setting that demographic aside for a minute, the principal issue that was being raised by our senior executive team, as I already mentioned, was time to value. And what we were learning specifically is that for many of our brands getting to market, invariably application systems were on the critical path. For the introduction of new product, development of new pricing catalogs, for introducing new customer service initiatives, invariably applications either needed to be built or modified.
Absolutely.
Usually timelines were extended as a result. Grady Booch, one of our IBM fellows, I love to quote him, makes the comments that software development fundamentally is, will be, and remains hard. I like to think about software development as trying the hearts, souls, and minds of every man, woman, and child on the planet Earth. So when senior executives are asking appropriately the good questions about what we can do practically to compress cycle time, to speed up that time to value, time to market, it was really important for us to unpack that box carefully. We wanted to understand specifically what the impediments were to our professionals worldwide around software delivery so that we could propose really practical solutions. This is not something that you can wave a wand at. And that's where the GenO journey got started. And Lev, there were 4 different dimensions to GenO. Maybe I can take a minute here quickly and actually describe what that was.
It sounds like a great name for a movement, but yeah, if you can talk about that.
It is kind of a movement, I guess. Yeah. I haven't thought about that. But here were the dimensions of the GenO program. It actually started with our globally integrated teams. So we have software developers located around the planet Earth, and as we've been executing on our globalization strategies for the delivery of software, what we did find is that it was increasing the complexity around software engineering in some instances. And that is that when you take a team and you separate them by both time and space, communications begin to break down. Incidentally, what we've also noted through some other research that we've done is that trust begins to break down between teams, and as a result, time begins to increase, cost begins to increase. So that was one of the elements. It was actually in analyzing that piece that we built the design around our community-based collaboration model, which I'll get back to in a minute. The second impediment was actually around just people motivation. And while we believe that we've got a highly motivated workforce, a highly skilled workforce within IBM, nevertheless, our management system and our measurements was creating behavior that was not strategic. In fact, it was working against strategy. And that is that while we're managing our workforce around utilization, what we were not measuring them on was productivity. And so what we wanted to do was to enable our people not only to claim time, and capturing time is an important element in any professional's life, but also to be able to claim results. And in claiming results, component delivery, it would begin to enhance their digital reputation. So for example, somebody who is compressing cycle time because they're intensely reusing existing assets in delivery, that's a win. And they need to be recognized accordingly. So we put in the new talent management model. That also was one of the impediments that was addressed and a solution that was developed. A third area was really just around time-based practices. And that is where we employing appropriate practices that would be consistent around cycle time execution, where time was the principal measure. And that's where we went agile intensively everywhere and rolled out major programs with the help of our quality software engineering team, 2 software developers on a worldwide basis. And that included also adopting practices like test-driven development, integrating certain practices into the process that we knew would enhance quality and therefore reduce the amount of rework on the back end. All very appropriate, very well done. And I should mention one other practice as well, and that is around component-based development. And as good as our software teams are around delivery of software, we did notice that there were some skill gaps in the adoption of component architecture, and also knowing how to lay out a component work plan, one that is more outcomes driven in the delivery of software. And then the final element, of course, is technology enablement and putting in place the environment and the platforms required, coherent in their design. And this is where we implemented JAZ everywhere, Jazz Rational Team Concert, which is just a tremendous piece of technology that actually enabled the pervasive transparency that we needed with our globally integrated communities to be able to operate well together, even though they were physically separated. And so that helped tremendously. And part of that solution architecture was also bringing in CAST, using CAST as our quality gate around the components that were being developed as we continue to build out a rich component catalog for delivery. So all of those pieces coming together constituted the GENO program.